we always try to go out into the field and talk to the people that are actually boots on the ground, the people that are doing the real work, the jobs. And they're the ones that often know what the problems are, but also the solutions
right.
to those problems. And when we've done that, those have been some of the most impactful audit work that we've done.
What's up, College Station? I'm Grace Hollowell, and today I'm joined by Ty Elliott, our city auditor. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
I am excited to have you on. We were discussing a little bit before we started. This is the first time that you have been on our show here, so welcome. And we are going to discuss everything that it is that you do for the city and how you got here. So to kick things off, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so you've already said it. I'm the city auditor. I am one of the 5 appointed officials for the city of College Station. I report directly to the city council, and our charge as an office is to make sure that the city's risk when it comes to fraud, waste, and abuse is within an acceptable level. And so I'm sure we're going to get a lot more into the details as we go along, but that's kind of the overview.
Gotcha. Yeah. And what led you to College Station? Are you a College Station native, or did you move here? Are you an Aggie?
Okay, yeah. So I'm one of the few people in the city government here that is not an Aggie.
Yeah.
I actually graduated with both of my undergrad in finance and master's in public administration from Brigham Young University.
Okay.
And then we moved from there, my wife and I. We had a little son at the time. We moved to Aurora, Colorado.
Okay.
And so I worked in the finance department there. And then we moved to the city of Atlanta, and I worked in the audit office there and worked my way up a little bit. And why I came to College Station, I don't know if you've ever been to Atlanta.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so if you've been there, you know that the traffic is soul crushing.
Yes, Spaghetti Junction. I don't know if you're familiar with that intersection. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah, so I would take the MARTA to work every day.
Okay.
And so it was an hour or more, depending on, a lot of times the MARTA would break down.
Yeah.
Or it just was soul crushing. You had the congestion, anyway.
Yeah.
So I had a young family at the time, and we were looking into other opportunities, and we saw College Station. And I did a little research. I'm like, this is a fantastic place to raise a family. And guess what? I can probably get to work within 5 to 15 minutes instead of an hour and a half.
Right.
I know people complain about traffic here, but they have no idea.
Yeah. I know I had family in Atlanta. They lived in Duluth. And my uncle worked in downtown Atlanta, so he had a similar situation where, he wasn't getting home until 7, 8 o'clock at night. And, missing out on that key time with family is something that is really important to consider when you are looking for a job or looking for a new job. So how long have you been in College Station?
Yeah, so I came here for this position.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the first city auditor for the city of College Station, so I established the audit function here. That was over 18 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know College Station 18 years ago compared to today is very different. It looks a lot different just since I've been here for 4 years. So how has it been seeing that growth and that change over the years?
There's some things that are different and some things that are the same.
Right.
One of the things that really attracted us to this city was that I know some people think, oh, there's nothing to do in College Station. That can't be farther than the truth.
Right.
Like, especially if you have a family, there are so many opportunities to do fun things with your family or friends. There were, I'm big into the performing arts, and so we have, even when we were moving here, there was MSC Opus.
Right.
That has Broadway productions come in, and also I'm a big advocate of sports and participating in athletics. And one of the things I did growing up is I played ice hockey. So when I came
Awesome.
here and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's an ice rink in College Station, Texas. I'm like, how hot is it here in the summers? And they have it operating year round. I'm like, yeah, sold.
Yeah.
So all the opportunities here in College Station really brought us to this city, and it was super family friendly. The schools were great. We did a lot of research, and we're like, we have to make this move. This is a really forward-thinking community. It was a growing community. So there's been some changes, but there's a lot of things that have a lot of similarities to when we first moved here. So, yeah, I mean, there's been growth, especially south of town.
Yeah.
A lot of residential growth, but a lot of the amenities that really attracted us to the city still are here today.
Yes, absolutely. And going back to hockey, everybody knows I'm a northern girl. I grew up about an hour from the Canadian border. So who's your hockey team?
Okay, so interestingly is I love to play hockey, but I do
You
not
don't watch hockey?
I don't watch hockey.
Okay.
It's funny, I'm a big Mariners fan.
Okay.
I'm a huge Mariners fan, a huge Denver Broncos fan. There's a whole story to that. I've actually lived all over the place. I've lived in 8 different states and
Wow.
Canada.
Okay.
So I've lived all over the place, and as I've moved to different places, there's different sports teams that I kind of gravitated towards.
Yeah.
First baseball game I ever saw when I was a kid, my mom was getting her PhD at the University of Washington, was at Seattle Mariners.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm a huge Mariners fan. So
Yeah.
way back when they've always been kind of terrible. So it's like last season was really nice for them to win the division for the first time in forever. So yeah, anyway, don't really watch hockey,
Yeah.
but love playing it.
Gotcha. Well, to get into what we're going to discuss today, which is the world of internal auditing, what is something that you wish more people knew about your department or your area of expertise?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that happens often is people don't really understand what an auditor is.
Right.
Like when I'm at a party or social occasion, people ask, okay, what do you do for work? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm the city auditor. Or I say I'm an auditor. And they're like, okay, so you work for the IRS. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, I don't work for the IRS. I just said I'm the city auditor. And they're like, oh, well, what is that?
Yeah.
And I say, well, okay, you're a taxpayer, right? And they're like, yes. And I said, okay, well, one of our jobs is to ensure that your taxpayer money is being used efficiently and effectively. And there's a lot of ways that we go about doing that. We're an independent audit function.
Right.
So really our end product are audit reports, and we do independent assessments with, our primary goal is to be as objective as possible, gather as sufficient, competent, and relevant evidence as possible, and do high quality analysis to come to a conclusion that really helps the city be better.
Right.
And that could be a lot of ways. It could be getting better, being more effective, more efficient, or all these other goals that different programs, divisions, or departments have. Ultimately, we're trying to help departments achieve their mission, goals, and objectives.
Right. That is a great answer there. I know when I first started, I didn't have a background in government, so I was learning about how a city functions. And when I heard the term city auditor, I was like, should I be afraid of the auditors? Like, what? I don't understand what that is. It kind of feels like, oh, they are looking for mistakes, but that's not necessarily true. You are looking for ways to improve and get the departments to be the best that they can for our taxpayers and our residents.
Yeah, I think that's a common misconception, like that we're off in a corner, some dark corner somewhere with our calculators and green visors,
Yeah.
looking meticulously, okay, which employee or which division or which department is making the most mistakes, and we're going to get them. It's not like that at all.
Right.
Clearly, one of the objectives is to bring transparency and accountability to government, right? But there's a lot of ways that you can do that. There's a lot of good ways, and there's actually a lot of bad ways that can come about as well. And so maybe as we go on, we can get more in detail about that, or maybe not. Maybe we keep it more high level.
How does what you do impact our community?
I think all of us can look at or think about governments, whether it be a government that is here in the United States, a local government, a state government, or maybe there's a government that is in another country. And the ones that are operating well and the ones that are not operating well. Think about communities you don't want to live in. What
Right.
are some commonalities? One of the big ones is corruption.
Yeah.
So if you have corruption within your government, you're toast. It is
Yeah.
not a good community to live in. And so good governments, good communities have institutions of accountability. The free press is one of those institutions of accountability. Audit functions are as well. So having an audit function within your government as an institution of accountability, one of the big benefits is it reduces the risk of corruption.
Yes.
And so when you have that kind of thing enter into your culture, it's hard to root it out. And so really the city of College Station and the leaders that decided, hey, we're going to establish an internal audit function, those were forward-thinking leaders. They were ones that said, hey, we don't ever want to get in a situation where the culture of our organization gets so bad that that dirty corruption starts to weasel its way in.
Right.
And it's not to say that it can't, right? It's reducing that risk to the best way possible. You're always going to have bad actors.
Right.
Every organization has a certain percentage of bad actors within that organization. The key is to identify those bad actors and to kind of root them out of your organization and to develop processes that make it less likely that bad outcomes will actually come about. And so really that is the benefit. If you're thinking about for a citizen, that is the real benefit. It's not just about making your government more efficient and effective. Really, we try to do that as an office. But our prime directive, fraud, waste, abuse, really making sure that the risk associated to fraud, waste, and abuse is mitigated to an acceptable level.
Right, absolutely. So what is your favorite thing about your job? I know it's kind of a unique position as we've been discussing. So what is your favorite thing that you get to do?
That is a good question. So there are a lot of things that I enjoy about the profession. That may sound strange to some people, right? But there are a number of things. One, probably the thing that comes to mind is impact, right?
Yes.
Is developing audit reports that actually have impact, that you can see the impact down the road. And, you know, gathering that evidence and conducting that high-level comprehensive analysis that can actually find solutions to difficult problems.
Yes.
And when you do that, when you discover that, and when you work with different employees or stakeholders within the community to come to those solutions to those difficult problems and seeing, and that may not be immediate, but seeing down the road. I've been here long enough where I've seen that. That impact, that's super rewarding. And so there's the day-to-day like analysis that I really enjoy doing, and then there's the long-term impact that I've seen our office have.
Okay, so switching gears here a little bit, we're going to do some auditing mythbusters questions. So we kind of discussed this, but many people think auditors are only looking for mistakes. How would you describe the real role of an internal auditor?
Process improvement.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so it's so I kind of talked about this a little bit before. Whether it be a program, division, department, or maybe even individuals, they have mission goals and objectives, right?
Yes.
And um, with those mission goals and objectives, they have processes in place to try to ensure that they're achieved efficiently and effectively. Sometimes that's done well. Sometimes there's areas of improvement. And so really if you have a good audit function, they're going in and really doing a deep dive into those processes to look for those improvements to help make sure that those risks to those mission goals and objectives not being achieved efficiently and effectively are then being done and looking for those solutions.
And how does your office balance accountability with helping departments improve and succeed?
So that is something that good auditors struggle with.
Yes.
Okay, so if you have a spectrum, right? On one end of the spectrum, there's going to be accountability and transparency. On the other end of the spectrum, you're looking at collaborative process improvement engagements, right? And so where you lie on that spectrum as an auditor is going to depend. And it's largely going to depend on your organization. And that can change over time. So an organization where we talked a little bit about corruption, where corruption's kind of rooted its way in, you're going to want to be on the end of accountability and transparency.
Right.
Now, an organization that has a great tone at the top and ethics culture, you're going to want to be, as an auditor, more on the side of collaborative process improvement impact. If you're too much on the side of accountability and transparency, if you have an ethical culture, you're going to be that gotcha type of auditor.
Yeah.
And departments aren't going to want to work with you. They're going to be like, okay, you talked about like the perception of fear going in. That's what it's going to be like. They're like, oh, Ty and his staff is coming in to audit us. Well, we better try to hide whatever mistakes that we're making.
Right.
And if you have that type of perception of the audit function, then it's not going to be very impactful. In addition, we may do the best work and we have really good analysis and our recommendation is actually tied to the real cause and it's a great solution. But if people hate you, they are not going to listen to you.
Right.
They're gonna feign like they're implementing that audit recommendation. But when we come back and do audit follow-up, we're gonna find out, no, their heart is really not in it. Even if it's the best thing for them to do, they're not gonna wanna do it.
Yeah.
And
so having that collaborative effort between you and the departments is very important.
It is, but we still have to be objective.
Right.
Really what an audit is an independent, objective assessment of the facts.
Yeah.
And so you still have to maintain that independence. You still have to maintain that objectivity. You just don't have to be a jerk.
Right. That is a very, very, very good point. So can you share an example of how an audit led to better efficiency or stronger processes rather than just pointing out the problems?
Okay. I'm going to go back to when I was an auditor at the City of Atlanta.
Okay.
Right? Because I think it's important to look back in the past sometimes and see, like, certainly things like this have happened here, but I want to go back to Atlanta because I think this is, honestly, so when I went to interview for this job, I told the council at the time this story. This is the story I think that actually why they hired me. So I was an auditor at the City of Atlanta. I was at the time, so this is over 20 years ago, right? So at the time, Atlanta just decided to implement automated meter reading.
Okay.
Okay. And so they spent millions of dollars on this program, right? And they were promised by the vendor that sold them on this program that it would create all kinds of efficiency, it would save all kinds of money, it would mean more savings for taxpayers, right? That did not happen.
Okay.
It actually led to higher cost.
Okay.
And at the time, no one could figure out why. So the council directed the audit office to go out, what is going on, conduct an audit. So I went and talked to my manager. I said, look, I think the best approach is to actually go and walk the routes with the meter readers. Mm-hmm. And at the time, she was a little skeptical, but she's like, okay, I'll give you the time, go walk the routes with the meter readers. And what's crazy is what I found out then has been true today, is the people that actually do the work, they know the answers.
Right.
They know the problems. They know the solutions. So I'm going to cut to the chase. What happened in Atlanta? What did they not do? If they would have actually talked to the people with the boots on the ground, is we discovered that Atlanta's an old city. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. And the meter boxes throughout the city were different sizes. And when they went and installed these meters, they installed them all with the same size meter lids. And so they were breaking. And so the actual devices were breaking. They were not. So the city of Atlanta wasted millions of dollars.
Yeah. Wow. And if they would have just communicated,
oftentimes
things maybe would have been different.
It would have been different. But this is one of the values of an audit function, right?
Yes.
Is one of the things that I always try to do when it's appropriate is to go out and I've done this a number of times, whether it's gone out in the Texas heat in the summer with the street maintenance workers, mm-hmm. or ridden along with the sanitation drivers, or spent nights at the fire stations, going out riding along with the service calls that are coming in at the fire stations. We always try to go out into the field and talk to the people that are actually boots on the ground, the people that are doing the real work, the jobs. And they're the ones that often know what the problems are, but also the solutions,
right,
to those problems. And when we've done that, those have been some of the most impactful audit work that we've done. We have absolutely amazing people that work for this city.
Yes.
They are dedicated. They want to do a good job. And sometimes there are just factors that are keeping them in the way of doing it that need to be identified, and the solutions need to be implemented. And if we're doing it wisely, if we're doing audit work right, we're identifying those things. And then management's looking at them with a critical eye and implementing those solutions.
Yes, and going off of that, since 2008, nearly 85% of your recommendations have been implemented or risk has been addressed. What does that say about the collaboration across city departments on wanting to work to improve these processes?
Okay, so let's talk about that implementation rate a little bit. If you go to other audit office in other cities, you will not find an audit recommendation implementation rate like that. When I was at the city of Atlanta, it was abysmal. Right? I'm not going to go into how abysmal, but it was significantly lower than that.
Gotcha.
And really, if you want to judge what I think is a successful audit shop, it's based on that implementation rate. And you can achieve it in different ways. It's if it's done like this. So you can have recommendations that are a cakewalk to implement, right?
Yeah.
That aren't really meaningful. Any professional can go through and read our reports. We don't have audit recommendations like that. Sometimes our recommendations are very difficult. They're difficult to implement. But the fact that this city and the tone at the top, the culture within the city has been such that they look at these recommendations and they are striving to implement them, right? It's an exceptional thing.
Yes.
And I think some of that ties to our approach too. I talked to you, one of our approach is really to try to identify the cause. So if you can have a high recommendation implementation rate because you have easy recommendations. That's not what we have. But you can also have a low because you're not issuing good recommendations, right? Those recommendations aren't tied to the actual cause. I think our office spends a lot of time actually talking to people. We're still independent and objective in our assessments, but we're actually trying to seek good solutions by engaging with everybody throughout the department, from the department head all the way down to the people actually doing the job, to really tie whatever we find back to that cause.
So what types of improvements are you most proud of your office helping to achieve?
Okay, so I'm going to answer the question, but it's going to take me a little while to get there.
Gotcha.
So just be patient. So the Institute of Internal Auditors and the Association of Local Government Auditors, they do these annual surveys. And the purpose of them is to identify key issues within the profession. And so they're independently done, different audiences that are responding to the surveys, different methodologies, but they both had the same key finding, and it's this, that the top risk facing organizations, this is both public and private organizations. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know what it is?
I don't. I'm trying to think, and my mind is blank. I don't have a clue.
When I tell you, it's gonna ring true.
Gotcha.
It's cybersecurity and IT controls.
That makes sense.
Yep, those are regardless of the organization, whether it be public or private sector, top risk.
Yeah.
So every organization should be thinking about that. Here's the kicker, though. Okay. I'm going to ask you. So they also survey people and they say, okay, in your annual audit plans, what areas are you covering? Guess what the area that's the lowest on the list?
I'm going to guess IT and cybersecurity.
Crazy, right? So that gap between what the work that my profession should be doing and what they're actually doing is nuts.
Yeah. Especially nowadays with AI and different advancements, and that's something that is so top of mind, but also oftentimes gets pushed down on the ladder there.
Yes. Okay. So a few years back, so we recognized this even before these surveys came out.
Yeah.
So a few years back, we decided to make this one of our focuses, right? And we did quite a few engagements that dealt with IT controls and cybersecurity. One of the things that we delved into is user access over our information systems. And typically what auditors do is when they have an engagement, say it's like accounts payable, they may look at user access within accounts payable, but they don't look at user access across the entire system.
Right.
Okay. So we decided we need to do this. We need to try to figure out a way to do user access over the entire system. And the reason for that is, one, user access is constantly changing. Two, it is one of the key, if you're looking at IT controls, it's like one of the key areas where vulnerabilities happen.
Yeah.
And even if you're looking externally at bad actors that are trying to attack us externally, that's how they do it. They gain access to a potential user of our system, right? And so one of the conversations that I had back then years ago, I was talking to a partner at Deloitte. Do you know
I don't.
Okay, Deloitte is one of the top consulting firms.
Okay, gotcha.
In the world, actually. It's one of the big consulting.
Big ones.
Yeah, it's one of the big ones. So I was talking to a partner at Deloitte, and I was asking, I was like, who has a good handle on this of user access, of the roles and permissions within their systems? And can you guess what he said? Who has a good? I'm gonna. Zero. Nobody.
Zero.
Nobody.
Yeah, I was going to say probably no one.
No one has a good handle on this. I was like, nobody? Because I was looking for like, who do I reach out to
Right.
try to figure this out, right? Because we need to figure it out. And he's like, nobody.
Yeah.
He's like, whenever we go in and try to assist people with this, it's
Always a mess.
it's always a mess, right? It's bad. So anyway, we figured out a way. So we do annual audits in this area. We test for user access and improper, what are called segregation of duties, across our entire information system. We do it annually because this is something that's continually changing.
Right.
Now, other organizations are looking to us. The City of College Station's Internal Audit Office, they're looking to us as the experts in this
Right.
area. So you're looking at what is the biggest impact that we have. This is one of them.
Yeah.
I can tell the citizens of College Station, your city has a better handle on this than just about any other organization.
Yeah.
And we're doing it at an exceptional cost. We found a technology solution that assists us with this, and we're using advanced tools to do it. Anybody that tried to tackle this in the past would be so costly, so cost prohibitive, because the amount of work entailed is so great. But we have figured it out. And other cities are now, not just other cities, other organizations are looking to us. We published an audit report that was recognized nationally on this issue. We've actually gone in and we've been in front of audiences of hundreds of auditors talking on this issue. We've had webinars where our office has talked on this issue. So we're one of the leaders in this area tackling the top risk that every organization is facing, which is cybersecurity and IT controls. Management has been fantastic. They have recognized how key this is. So when you're talking about our professionals in finance, IT, and the city manager's office, the dedication that they've had to working with us to try to make sure that this risk is mitigated as sufficiently as possible. Are we perfect? No. No organization is, but we are constantly striving to get there. And this program that we do annually is a big step in getting us there. I can tell you that we're a lot more secure than just about any other city. And our taxpayers and our citizens should be thankful for that.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about threats that could impact us significantly financially. We're talking about threats that could shut the city down. We're talking about public safety here.
Right.
And so it doesn't take much to do a Google search and look at the different cybersecurity attacks that other cities have faced.
Yeah.
And so, again, we're not perfect, but the amount of effort to mitigate that risk is significant, especially when you look at the failures that I told you about that gap, right?
Yeah.
I think we're starting to move the needle and more audit shops are getting there, but we're, as an audit shop here in College Station, are one of the industry leaders in this area.
So going off of that, your office has received 5 Knighton Awards. So what makes an audit exceptional at a national level?
It's some of the things that we've already talked about, right?
Right.
And so really having in-depth analysis, linking your recommendations to the actual cause, being very thorough and comprehensive. But I think where I've seen a lot of audit reports fail is communication.
Yeah.
So I'm going to actually give props to your office. We've worked with your office to help, I guess, spice up the look of our audit reports, and that's actually helped quite a bit. It's interesting. We talked a little bit about this, but communication is key. Communication is not just key in winning a Knighton Award, but communication is key in having an effective audit function.
Right.
A lot of it comes down to tone.
Yeah.
If you're a jerk in how you present yourself, people aren't going to want to listen to you or follow you or implement a potentially difficult recommendation.
Yeah.
They're just going to try to dismiss you or fight against you. And so having that tone, working consistently to try to improve on that tone and to be an effective communicator is really essential. The other thing that is somewhat rewarding actually very rewarding for me, is it goes back to my history of why I ended up in this profession. So back when I was at BYU, in my grad program, I saw a class for government auditing. So I was like, sure, why not? I'll take this. The professor was Linus M. Knighton.
Okay.
He is considered the father of government auditing.
Okay.
That Knighton Award is actually named after him. Yes. So this is full circle where here I took his class back in college. I actually did, it wasn't a thesis, but I took like an independent study with him that had to do with performance auditing. He's the person that put me in contact with someone named Harriet Richardson that worked at the City of Atlanta. She was assistant director at the time. And the rest is history. And I remember the very first time when our office received a Knighton Award, I thought back to this professor I had that I had a deep connection and relationship with. And I'm not kidding you. A tear came to my eye.
Yeah.
It was very special to me. This was a very special individual, a mentor, a great man that we talked about, these institutions of accountability. He is one of the founders of our profession to bring the importance of government auditing into the forefront. And a lot of the standards that we have today and how we conduct our work is thanks to Dr. Knighton.
So if there's one thing you want our residents to understand about your office, what would it be?
It's that I truly care about this community and public service.
Yes.
And I instill that in my staff. There was a time where I wasn't going down that road. I was a finance major at BYU. I thought I wanted to be an investment banker. One of my close friends and roommate, he just did a internship at Credit Suisse in New York. I was at the time working for a certified financial planner. That was the road I was going down. And I felt it lacking in some way. I was in my last semester at BYU, and I was driving into campus, and there's a sign as we enter campus at Brigham Young. It says, "Enter to learn, go forth to serve."
Right.
That same day, I had an ethics class with a professor that was in the public management track at BYU. And for some reason, I went and had a discussion with him, and he led me down that road. And I have in my office to remind me every day that motto: enter to learn, go forth to serve. That is something that is core to me.
Yes.
We are public servants.
Yes.
We have a responsibility to the citizens of College Station. I told you I lived in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But College Station is my home. I care deeply about this community, and I care deeply about the audit function within the city and the value that it brings to citizens. If there's one message that I can leave to the citizens of College Station, is that there's a reason I've stayed here at the city of College Station. I feel like that public service mindset, I've seen it in abundance throughout my 18 years here.
Yes, it's more than just a job. We truly, truly care about our residents and our citizens.
So if there's one thing I can end on, it's that is the public service mindset.
Yes, absolutely. Switching gears here, we have a fun little game of this or that we do to end the show each week. And these all kind of relate to the world of auditing. So you just answer to whatever resonates with you. Are you ready?
Sure. We'll see how this goes.
Okay. Routine audits or special projects?
Special projects.
Gotcha. Big picture risk or small process improvements?
Big picture risk.
Finding the issue or helping fix it?
Oh, that's hard.
Tricky one.
Okay. No, it's actually not hard. We are not in the business as auditors to fix it. That's management.
Gotcha.
So finding the issue is key for us.
Finding the issue. Mentoring interns or learning from peers?
Oh, mentoring.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And finally, end of year results or year-round progress?
Year-round progress.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Where can people find out more information about the city's internal auditing department?
So the easiest way to do that is to go on to my LinkedIn page, because
Okay.
my LinkedIn page has everything, not just it's designed to promote our office.
Right.
Okay, and it's very easy to find. My name's Ty Elliott. That's my LinkedIn profile, TYELLIOTT. If you search for that or go there, it has a link to our webpage. It has all types of information about me and about our office. It even has some of our audit reports on there. But all of our audit reports, that LinkedIn page will drive you to our webpage that has everything. All of our audit reports are published and has a wealth of other information.
Awesome. And that's what's up.